Hey guys, it's Tree Baron here from GamerSlice, and I just thought I would take a couple of minutes to talk about the new Battlefield 1 trailer and just some of the implications it has on the Battlefield franchise. Here's what EA had to say about their latest trailer. Battlefield 1 takes you across multiple varied locations in a bid to fight your way through immersive battles, from tight urban fights in a besieged French city to big open spaces in the Italian Alps and frantic combats in the deserts of Arabia. Discover a world at war through an adventure-filled campaign. In a true multiplayer sandbox experience, take to the skies and engage in high-octane dogfights through treacherous landscapes, or have a battleship obliterating the coast from the sea and engage in some of the biggest battles ever seen as empires clash for supremacy. So you can tell they're pretty excited about it, and for the most part, I liked the trailer. I thought it looked good, and that's the first thing I liked about it was the graphics. It looked good. You'll notice at the beginning it flashed for just a second. It said it's using all in-game engine footage. Now, that doesn't mean that the footage is in-game necessarily, although there was one or two spots maybe, one in particular I'm thinking of where you can see it's in the first-person perspective and they're firing a machine gun. So I think there's a little bit of real footage in here, but for the most part it's just in-engine footage. But it does look great, and I think that speaks volumes for just the way things are going technologically for games, and they keep looking better and better each year, and it still looks better than last year's. Looks better than Battlefield 4, I think. Second thing I liked, the airplane gameplay, and in that thing I just read there, it does sound like there will be airplanes and possibly battleships. I don't know how much player control they'll have over that, but there will at least be artillery barrages from them. Another thing I really liked were the tanks. The tanks looked fantastic. I would love to hop in a World War tank in a Battlefield game. There was a Zeppelin at the end of the trailer. I'm not super certain that you're going to be able to use the Zeppelin, but even if there's just a map where it's floating over the map, that would still be really cool. Also, it looked like there were horses. I don't know if you'll be able to ride a horse. I think it'd be cool though if you could have a sword and ride a horse. That'd be cool. And the final thing I liked about the trailer was I think it's a really fresh place for the Battlefield series to go. If you watch the COD trailer, which recently came out, it showed that Call of Duty was moving into the future, total sci-fi in space, and I love that. I do like that. But I think it's good that Battlefield took this approach because I think recently there's been a little bit too much sci-fi in shooters, and even though it's a sci-fi shooter, they haven't really changed the mechanics. And if you're not going to change the mechanics, it's just, painting on there. But going to World War I, you have to change the mechanics, and here's why. I'll tell you, the first thing is the machine guns are totally different. A machine gun today is much better than a World War I machine gun ever was. World War I machine guns, they had trouble overheating, they would jam a lot, they're way, way slower. They're semi-auto, but you don't have to keep pulling the trigger. That's it. Well, you don't have to pull it back again. You know what I mean? So World War I is definitely going to force them to change a couple of mechanics. One of them might be they might have to make the maps a little bit smaller. I mean, they said they're including airplanes, but are they going to include parachutes like they did in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4? Are you going to be able to fly in a biplane, let it crash, and just parachute to the ground? Not that I would ever do that in game. This does raise a lot of questions though, and one of the problems with going World War I is World War I can be boring. I own a game called Verdun. It has a lot of problems, Verdun does. This isn't about Verdun, but it's really laggy, and there's not many people, and the servers are really small. Now, luckily Battlefield has big servers, so I don't think that'll be a problem, and presumably it won't be laggy, but it's still a big risk, because how do you make World War I exciting? And I think one of the ways they're going to do that is with melee weapons. If you look at the guy on the cover, he's got a pistol in one hand, but he has a medieval, mace in his other hand, right? He's going to hit people, and I think that's a good way to go. Focus on melee weapons as well as the rifles, and rifles should just be for long range sort of thing. Another question I have though is, will this feel like a Battlefield game? You're going back into the past. Is it gonna feel like Battlefield? And I don't know. Will it? I mean, what game modes are they gonna include? Is there gonna be classic conquest? Capture the point. Is it just gonna be more deathmatch focused? I mean, it could be any of these things. And the final question I have is Battlefield, does this mean that Battlefield is moving more towards realism? Are they trying to make a more realistic Battlefield? Hopefully not like Arma realistic, but you know what I mean. And I think that that's another big question to consider. So thanks for watching. Remember to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe.